Welcome back. Today I'm going to be trying to recreate a phone wedge. So I have some microfiber for the bottom as well as some fun cotton fabric for the top. This was a phone wedge that I'd originally gotten at a conference and I wanted to see if I could recreate it. So at first I didn't know how to exactly make it, so I started off with a rectangular piece of fabric to see if I could get that pyramid shape, and then just tried to cut it out to the size of the phone wedge itself. So I have the phone wedge here, then I have my cotton piece of fabric that I've pinned up at the moment. That was when I was trying to see if it was the right size. I will include in the description the sizes for all of this. And then I have that triangular piece of microfiber for the bottom of the wedge. So the first step is I'm going to be folding this hamburger style and taking a straight seam across one of those short edges. So now that that seam is complete, I am going to be matching up my cotton fabric to my microfiber fabric. So it's 3 different sides. What you're gonna have to do is kind of play around with your fabric to get it to match that pyramid shape. So to get it to be like this, I did have to fold up some of that cotton fabric just to make sure it was the correct length. So then you'll be taking one full seam, or leaving that one part open, and then I'll be taking a shorter seam on the second side to leave a gap to put in my weighted beads. Now that those seams are complete, I can start to see that I have a pyramid-like structure very similar to the original wedge. So I'm going to have to turn this right side out so that I can add that groove for the phone to sit in, as well as stuff that little extra portion. And I did go ahead and trim some of that extra fabric off when I was turning it right side out. Once it was turned right side out, I went ahead and just pinned across a straight line for the wedge so that I could put those 2 seams very similar to how the original one was done. Then I sewed it across, and that left me about 1 inch of fabric so that I could stuff it, so that I could have that kind of almost block so that the phone wouldn't slip out when it came time to put a phone on the wedge. Now, to make sure that I was turning this correctly, I did fold all the fabric in on itself and then just pinned it up and took a seam straight across, leaving a small gap so that I'd be able to stuff it. And once that is complete, you do get a very similar looking object to the original phone wedge. So now it is time to stuff it. So I used polyfill beads, as well as I created a little funnel out of cardboard, and I added my wedge onto a baking sheet. I would recommend really using something that has plastic, maybe such like a silicone mat, as when the beads started to fall out of the funnel, they did bounce everywhere. I thought I was thinking ahead with the pan, and it did not work. This does take some time, but then once you get it as full as you like, you would just sew up that seam on the side. Once you have that all sewn up, it is time to work on the last section of our phone wedge. So to fill this area up, I actually just used regular stuffing. I took very, very small pieces and just pushed it through gently to get it all the way to the edge of the fabric. I found that a pin or something with like kind of a harder cap worked really well to get it towards the points so that it would be nice and firm. Once I had that stuffed up like I liked it, I just had to take a seam right across that opening. I just used a very simple slip stitch to tie that off. And here's the original next to the one that I created. I think it turned out exactly like it, and it was a really fun project that I will be able to use. If you like this video and want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe.